Hi.
Hi
Uh,
guys, how's it going?
Great. What about you? You good?
That's good. It's snowing a little bit in London, but yeah, it's fine.
We wanted to know more about you. If you want to present yourself, that would be great.
Sure. My name is Ingo Schachner. I'm from Austria. I've been an character slash creature animator for 18 years, I think. I don't know, something around that time. Yeah, I'm self-taught. I never went to a university or anything. Um, that's about it. Yeah, and only been doing animation, so I don't have any other skills.
And when did you start? You said in 2000, and it was.
Um, it's a weird thing, but like because I never went officially to a school. I went to like I started working when I was 15 as a completely different job. I was in print media doing like visual graphics and printing and stuff like this. But I always was interested in animation, but there was no animation courses anything at the time in Austria. There was only the academy, and when you're 15, they said they want to take people when you're 18, and I didn't want to sit around, so I started getting my own job. And when I was there, like I after 5 years working at that job, I kind of got tired of it and was still interested in like, oh, I want to do something again, animation. And on the side, I basically was starting signing up to a course in the SAE for like digital film production thing.
Hmm.
So that I got like an overview of how movies are made and all that stuff, like super broad, very basic. And while I was there, I found like they were talking about like one of the teachers we had, the animation teacher. He brought in the animator survival kit.
Hmm.
It was the animator survival kit stuff. And then I found a flyer where they're having like where Richard Williams had a master class in Denmark, product by school. I was going like, you know what, I want to do that. And so I flew up there for like a week and hung out and met Richard Williams and we chatted and stuff like this. And I got like the animation bug again. It's like, I really want to do that. And one of the teachers there, Kyle Balder, he was trying to get up like a 3D animated uh, class or a master course there. I was like one of the first ones there. And he kind of, when I was there, he invited me to come over and do like a 14 weeks course with him. And I basically was like, when I came back after this week, I was kind of very inspired. And I was like, you know what, I really want to try this stuff. So I basically just quit my job and moved up Denmark. After
Okay.
within a week or something, I was like, you know what, yeah, screw that.
Okay.
uh, I went up to Denmark for like 14 weeks, where I got like it was great because they had like the animation workshop is the place I went to, which was back then was like a private animation school. They were doing mostly 2D for like 1 year, and they had like a live drawing school and they had like an animation school there and everything. And then they wanted to do a professional course, so they asked for people like, hey, you want to learn 3D animation? And I was one of the guys there. But we all hung out, so we hung out with the 2D guys. We could participate in like the drawing stuff, and it was very creative environment. It was very, yeah, it was very punk rock. It's like we were working in this old police station slash fire station. They rented out, and like you had, well, if you want to go to one building to the other, you had to go for the bathrooms, and it was just all over the place. But it was a great, crazy environment, because there was no rules, so to speak. It was just like, yeah, you pay for it, you do, be creative. There was drawings all over the place. Everybody
Sure.
drew somewhere. There were like, people hanging out with 2D desks and 3D desks. And after those 14 weeks, one of the guys, I think Klaus talks, we wanted to do like a short film in 3D. Do you want to try it out? So I jumped on that board and was technically my first job. So yeah, it was 2003.
Did you like it?
It was all like being there was great. I stayed in Denmark for 4 years. Like it was difficult for parts because I didn't have any income.
Okay.
So basically, it was just trying burning through savings and trying to like getting some unemployment money, and I was broke like a motherfucker at one point. There's I had weeks where I remember one week was bad because I only bought like I had money for like a bag of 5 kilos of apples, and I just ate apples for a week because that's all I could afford at that point.
Oh,
Just like,
wow.
yeah, it was like, but it was just you didn't care because all you were doing because you were just living, sleep, sleeping and animating and partying. That's all we did. It was
Wow.
a really great creative environment. I'm still like still to this day, I have friends from that time, and they're still, most of us still in animation.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, when I did this for 4 years, and then when it was, I noticed like I gotta go out there and start like properly working or something. And then Kyle, my mentor at the time, basically told me like he had a lead friend of his. They were working on some show in Germany, and he knows. He just get me into contact with Trickster, with one of
Mm.
the supervisors there. And yeah, and that's how I got in. Basically, I just had the interview. I told her what's going on, and she's like, "Yeah, sure, come over and let's try that." And it was like a 3 month gig. It was a very short time, but I jumped on it because like being broke and a student, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
sure, go, I'll take it, whatever.
Tell me what to do. I do it. Everything.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Is
It's
it
like
robbing a bank? No? Did you want?
no, it's like that's the thing, like it's one point to go like, oh, I want to go to Pixar and all those crazy dreams, but like you just take the job. There's no, I'm too good for it. Just take the job
Yeah.
because you can study as much as you want to. Job is different, as you guys know. It's like job is just is a different beast. And yeah, I went to Munich. I moved there pretty quickly, and worked for Trickster there for like 3 4 months, I think it was. What I did, one of the fun things is that I didn't know about it because for some reason they hired me not as a junior but just as an animator.
Okay.
So I was just thrown into the deep end right away. It's like, there was no junior time. But like if you're hired for like 3 months or something back in the day, that just means you're a freelancer. And it's just like, there you go, there's a job. It's like, oh, okay,
Okay.
first job, and you get like those crazy shows, and it was so overwhelming. I was so panicking all the time. It was so scary. I mean, the cool thing is people were still nice, and the crew, the artists and everything was just like you connect on a creative level so easily with other people.
Yep.
So it takes a lot of the fear away to switch companies because you're gonna like on a level you're gonna connect with them anyways. And it was crazy. Like, cause oh man, I stayed so long at nights just to get something that looks okay because I was struggling so much.
How many
Like,
projects do you think did you work on with a month?
oh, I only worked on one show. I
One.
was working on I think it's called like the Secret of Loch Ness. It's called some like we did this a weird kind of golem kind of thing for like it was a German TV show. It wasn't too big, but it was fun. It was like the first character VFX acting I think I did. So it was a fun. It was a fun. How to say like quick intro to the industry. Sitting with the directors, how to behave. Don't you learn pretty quickly what you can say in dailies, what you can't say in dailies. Who is the boss, what's going on, this kind of thing. Which are a lot of lessons people don't teach at school. They don't teach you the politics behind it.
Mhm.
As bad as it sounds, but it's like there's things, like you might be able to go to dailies in animation mentor and say like, oh, but I think that should do this, right? And then no, you don't do that. No one wants to hear your opinion to the movie that's not yours. It's like
This is
you know, it's just how it is. Like there's certain environments where they welcome it, but depending on the show and everything, just they don't want to hear it. They want you to just do what they want to see. You can't be creative within that box, or if you want to try something else, you just do their notes first, and then
yeah.
if you got time, do your own idea and present both. You know, but don't go like, oh no, this is a stupid idea. I'll do this. Yes. And
Okay.
oddly enough, I've seen it quite like I've seen it from a career with a lot of juniors, where it's to come from a online school or school environment generally, where there's schools have an odd culture to it, which is in a way it's good because it fosters creativity and anything. It's very supportive,
Okay.
but it gives kind of distorted idea of what actually working is, right?
Mm.
Like you can watch a lot of making offs and anything like, oh, Pixar has so much fun. Like, yeah, but they still want you to do what they do. They don't fucking give you a shot and go like, surprise me.
Mhm.
No
Yeah.
one does that. So a lot of people that come from schools, June especially, they get like blindsided by that.
Mm.
They expecting, you get a lot of you walk cycles, you run cycles, and suddenly you do like acting, dialogue, and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not going to be your shot if you come in a crew. Yeah, you're going to get the background character. You're going to get small things, and you have to prove yourself. You know?
Yeah, I wish to know because you said before that before working for Trickster, you spent mostly 4 years on jumping around, and so you started working at Trickster when you were 19. Is it
No,
right?
I started Trickster. I think it was 25.
Ah,
25.
okay, okay.
Okay.
No, because I thought that you left your
No, no,
house when you were
no.
just 15, and then it.
No, I started working my old job at 15. I left my job when I was around 20,
Okay.
Okay, okay.
2022, and yeah, and then I was 4 years in Denmark, and after those 4 years in Denmark, it's around 2006 is when I left for Trickster.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so I was in Trickster for 3 months, and the thing was like I always was kind of more spontaneous, very like once you go like I just moved to Denmark. I don't know why. I don't know any Danish. Fuck it. It's once you're in that mindset where you go like, let's what can happen? And like it was very
sure.
emboldening for like what you learn fast. Like it doesn't matter where you hit in the world, which studio you go in the world, you're gonna find like-minded people, which is a very nice like comforting safety net.
Mhm.
You guys go and say, fuck it, I'll go to Asia now. You're going to find people that like the same movies you like. You're not going to find people that are really excited about what your work you do, because that's basically the community we have.
Okay.
They might not have the same backgrounds, they might not have the same experience, but they all are to a certain, at least a level, are going to connect with you, and that's quite. It takes away the fear of just throwing yourself around the globe.
Yeah.
At least for me, it was.
But did it
So
happen
after
to
the
you? Did it happen
sorry,
to you to find people that you worked with already in another company, for example, in another part of?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the more you do it, the smaller the world gets. Like, I mean, especially my career is basically just people I know. Like I haven't filled out a single CV and sent it in probably in my career. It's I only got it on from like people that I know, people that I met somehow.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. So basically, what happens like I was in Germany through my friend Kyle, and then when that job closed, I just checked with my friends in Denmark. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm kind of looking for something new. And then one of my friends, Daniel Calabi, he basically was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have this job in Amsterdam. You want to check it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so I applied there, and they said like, "Oh, sure, why not?" It was another small company, so it's called. It used to be AVP, Amsterdam Video Productions. That was a fun time as well. They were like, I generally had more fun with smaller companies
Hmm.
because they seem to be more appreciative of you as an artist.
Okay.
The bigger the company is, it doesn't mean there's positives and negatives, right? Like if you work in a smaller company, they do tend to treat you better. They do treat you like an artist. You get more experience and you get more responsibility, but you're not going to get that money shots and you're not going to get those big studio projects, right? But then on the other hand, you work for a big studio and you just end up being a number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just it doesn't matter how many Oscars you win, you're not going to get it unless you like work your way up there.
Yeah.
But if you just enjoy the work, it's just you're gonna be just another one of those.
Hmm.
So it's I had a fun time in Amsterdam. Actually, it was really good. I did like it's a movie called The Seven of the Run. It's just a Disney
What the name?
co-production. It's called The Seven of the Run. It was like a Disney co-production. Disney published like a for Holland production with some magical giraffe. It was my
Okay.
first That was my first quadruped animation. God, that scared me as well. It's like, oh, it's four-legged. Oh, it's also giraffe, which is the weirdest fucking thing that runs on the planet. Like, what is this thing? Like, yeah, the fast it runs, the slow it moves, and you go like, what's going on? You see them daily, and you go like, the director goes like, make it look faster, and you just bring up the reference, like, look at this weird thing, and he goes like, yeah, but look at faster. So that was also a good lesson because it's like there's a point where you go like, screw it. It's not real. But break it if that's what he wants. Just go with it.
It's fantastical. It's like it's not real, so you can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
but the thing
Go
is, the
faster,
magic
faster.
trick. Yeah, true. But I mean, the magic trick is we're doing. It's like, yeah, at the end of the day, like it's one of these matches, right? Like it's not my movie. That's the best mantra I've learned. It's like it's not my movie. I'm not gonna, I'm not the director. It's his movie. It's his face on it. that's your shot you want. I'm not gonna throw a fit over it. Which I've seen people do. I've seen people go like, "No, that's wrong. I would never do." It's like, yep, it's not your fucking movie. Just chill out.
Who cares?
No, it's like it's one of those things. It's like, you can. Of course, we all have this kind of like ego in ourselves, the artistic
Yeah, sure.
ownership of our shot. It's like, oh, this is my shot. It's my baby. And I go like, yeah, but it's like, it doesn't matter if it's your baby. You're not paying for it. It's like that's you're a craftsman. They're like, it's better to be a craft. Like I see myself as a craftsman more than an artist.
Mhm.
It's like I don't. I like animating as I like the act of animating. I'm not that interested in the how the movie turns out. I just enjoy doing the scenes. I enjoy like working in the shots and everything.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not that picky about if it's a good movie or bad movie, because at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's like it's the accolades come if it's a good movie or not. As long as I have fun doing it, that's
Yeah.
kind of prioritizing for me.
That is something that we were talking about yesterday with another artist from Brazil, and he told us actually how a lot of artists are, let's say, in love with the end result rather than the process of doing the things. But loving the process makes you love much more the job that you do, and also,
Oh, absolutely, because you're gonna have longer staying power in the industry. If you just love the end result, but you end up not getting into Disney and you're not getting into Pixar and you just work in a mid-tier studio, you're gonna be miserable because you can say, oh, I worked on Infinity War, but I did this one character in this one shot, or I did some match move in this, or I did the explosion for that shot, and you go like, okay, I'm not sure. Like some of the most fun I had of working was in like a really crap movies. It's because they're much more experimental. There's not much money involved, which means there's not much so many eyes on it. It feels more relaxed in a way.
Mm-hmm.
At least from a creative point of view, you can be a little more loose and you can bring more creativity in it. And yeah.
How many productions do you think you've been into? Like how many credits, let's say, you think?
Honestly, I have, like I said, when we go for our journey, it's been so weird because I have like stints of stuff that I don't really credit because it wasn't that interesting for me, but it was fun time doing it. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. It's been a couple. Like I think 2019 was a big one. 19 was, I don't know, 15. I don't know, 15, something like that. I have to look at my IMDb. I mean, I'm so horrible with keeping stuff up to date. I haven't even put my reel up yet. It's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna float from job to job and just enjoying the ride and go like, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even need a show reel probably. Yeah.
Oh no, I do. Yeah.
You
no,
do?
yeah, of course, always. Like the thing is, like you need a reel at least because you still have to show what you were doing. Like it doesn't matter how good you are, you still have because you still have to introduce yourself to the studio. Not every studio know you. Like you can't always talk through, but you also have to show that you can prove what you're doing.
Okay.
It's just for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's just like making a reel is very, very frustrating because usually you have shots that have been like 2 years old. Because that's when the movie comes out. The movie comes out like usually a year or two later until when you've done it. So now you actually moved on and they've gotten better. So now you look at your shot, which is actually not as good as you want it to be. So now you get this constant cycle, like I have no shots I like because I'm already better than I used to be. And I'm looking at my old job. I guess you guys do the same thing. You do something and you wait a couple months and you look and you go like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. When you see when you see in the future, you go back in time. Yeah, it's not.
Look at your first exercise now. And it's like you just go like, what the hell was that? And that kind of feeling is like it's a really good feeling in a way because it means you progressed. Like because a lot of times in our journey, our creative journey, we don't really feel that we progress. It's more like hitting your head against the wall. Mainly, it's just like why, and a lot of times it happens. At least in animation for me, I found out it's like because your eyes like learn faster than your skill catch up. It's like you learn to see the mistakes faster than you figure out how to fix them. Mm-hmm. So there's this like period where you go like, this shot is shit. Why is it shit? I know it could be better. This and this is wrong. How do I fix it? And you struggle with to fix it. And then you get to the plateau where your eye and your knowledge kind of level out. It's like, oh, this is great. I know what I'm doing. This is fantastic. And then your eyes go like they get better again because you need to learn more. And then you kind of always back, and there's this kind of like weird stair-steppy kind of feeling to it, where you like there's this couple moments in every animator, like at least in animation, whatever, it's like this is great, it's the greatest shit ever. I'm the fucking master of animation, whatever. And then the next day you go like, what was I thinking? And it's just like this whole depression. This is really weird.
I think
It's kind of like creative craziness. It's in a cycle of an artist, I guess. It's just like you always strive to do better, and you always like push yourself, and like it's not a bad thing to look back at your work and just remember yourself where you come from, just even as like a balance thing, because because when you do it a lot, you kind of keep forgetting to look back and realize, oh no, I actually gotten better. Because you, at least you as an artist, it's hard to, take a step back and just objectively look at your work, especially when you're like really, and when you're junior, especially, you really, this is my baby. I worked there with my, my blood is in this thing. I was like, yeah, but throw it out. If it doesn't work, throw it out.
Do it again. Try a new one.
Yeah, do it again. It's like, we used to have to. When I started out, we used to have this saying. It's very morbid. It's like kill your babies. It just mainly means that it doesn't matter how involved you're in a shot. If the shot doesn't work, you have to throw it out. It's instead of trying to fix it, morph into something it's not. You're faster just to delete all of it and start new.
So, yeah.
And that's a heartbreaking thing to do when you start out, because you're so proud of everything and you're really excited about it. But it's just like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If your core idea, that you started like 3 weeks ago, and you're down now in polishing, and you put your time into it, and you have like all these things sit out, and just sit back and go like, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. And you realize, yeah, it was the whole idea doesn't work. Sometimes it's literally just like, okay, save it, new scene. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because that's what you should do when you're a student. That's the time to do it. You have to fail as much as possible as a student. Don't try to get the perfect shot. Just fail as much as you can. Because once you go start working, your failure is not helping. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
Failure is much more. It's much more a problem when you work than it is when you're student.
Yeah, but as a junior, it's so hard to understand when you have to stop or just to throw something in the trash can.
Absolutely, and that's why you have like that's why it's good like nowadays where you have the communities where at least you can get some feedback, and again, it's all learning process, right? You find yourself like, who can give me feedback, who I'm actually valuing as giving feedback. And sometimes the best thing is like you find the guy who hates your work and show it to him, because he's gonna nitpick all of it. Don't show it to your friends, don't show it to your family, don't show it to your mom, because your mom's gonna love everything you do.
Oh, really?
So it's like, just show it to like, throw it out to let people, rip all over it. Take the accolades and like, some people like it, that's cool. But also take the negative and look at them objectively. Don't be defensive of negative criticism,
What do you think about?
It's also
what do you think about the fact that, for example, I experienced and other guys experienced the fact that we ask for feedbacks when we have finished the project. Like, you render everything, you put it, for example, in your showreel, and then you show the showreel to other artists. I've done myself, people doing it. The fact is that when you show it when it's finished, you actually have to redo everything, render the render.
Do you think
it's better to
you show your showreel? The feedback you get on your showreel is which shots to keep and which shots you shouldn't keep. You shouldn't get feedback on the shots mechanics, because it's too late for that. If you put your reel out there and you ask people to get a feedback on a reel, I'm going to just tell you, okay, this shot isn't best shot. Get rid of this shot. Get rid of this shot. It's more like an editing thing.
Okay.
This music doesn't work, because that's all the other stuff is it's done. It's too late, and it's not. Like you said, it's just, what's the point? Show it to me early, where you can adjust. Like, every step of the way, you should show and try to get the feedback you need. Don't show me a finished shot and ask for animation, because I can rip into it, but it's not going to help you, because you're not going to go back into it. Or you have just lost hours and hours and days maybe on rendering it.
It's much better to show it beforehand, before finishing everything. At least you want to see the mechanics, if you want to adjust the mechanics, or what is
Yeah.
inside the shot.
Absolutely. Like ask for the feedback at the stage you're at. Not even like when you're done with the shot and you start lighting, it's too late to ask for feedback with animation because you technically should have been done with it.
Did you have someone
it's better to ask
yes.
early.
Can you repeat it?
Yes, I think it's just better to ask earlier for feedback than too late. Because like I said, you have to fail a lot, so you don't lose time, especially when you start out. And what I've seen a lot of people is like, if you're a student, don't or junior or whatever, it's like don't be stuck up in like, oh, this is my style, you just don't get it. It's like, no. Like I've seen a lot of character artists, the 2D guys who, you see they're just breaking the how do you say it, the structure underneath the drawing, the anatomy is broken, all this stuff is broken, and they go like, yeah, but that's my style. It's like, okay, but it's still broken. It doesn't help me. It's like the conversation is over. If you go like, this is my style, then I'm stopping giving you feedback because there's no point in it.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. Did you have someone to ask your, like, back in time, did you have someone particular you asked for feedback, or how did you get your feedback?
When I was in Denmark, in the school, I basically I did everything I could, just grabbing the teachers when they were not teaching. Because the thing is, me in Denmark, when I was in Denmark for 4 years, I wasn't really at this school. Like I wasn't a student. I was just, for 14 weeks I was a student, and then I was basically just bumming around there. So that was also not the smartest move, I would say. But it was like how much I really wanted to do it, because I was, because after those 14 weeks, I was just at the point of go like, okay, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stay here and try to get this job, get more out of it, be happy, and maybe live really shitty for a while, but enjoy it, or go back to Austria and have a normal job, and that's it. Because there was no like future or place to learn in Austria for it. So I stuck around there, and basically, luckily this school was so hippie and rock and roll, and like in the greatest way that they just left me there. They just basically like, oh, okay, we're gonna give you like a place to stick around for. There's something called the open workshop, where they give professionals like a place to stick around and do like projects and everything, and I somehow slotted in there. And while I was at the school, I helped out different projects with animation, so I learned that way as well. And basically every time there was a teacher come by, I just dragged him by, like, hey, can you look at this? So every chance I got, I just harassed the teacher or asked some students, like people I know knew more than me, and I just let them have it. Like I just say whatever is wrong. I want everything that's wrong, not just, but don't be nice. I don't like, it sounds harsh, but like, I don't care about your pleasantries. Just say me what's wrong. It's like, it doesn't help me if you say it's good.
Yeah.
Nitpick it and nitpick it and nitpick it. There's always something wrong. And that's kind of what I kept with me to this day. And I just keep nitpicking my own work. It's because there's always something wrong. You can always do something better, and always polish something. And like to say, animation is never done. You only just get your shot taken away. You can always make it better somehow.
Yeah, this is a great approach. I mean, that's a way to get better. It's not much about making it like to people and be, oh, you like it? It's good. Is it good? But what is bad? What can I do better? How can I get better?
It's very, the fun thing is, like, animation, it's very reminiscing to learning an instrument. Where it's like, sure, you can play Smoke on the Water at every part and everybody's gonna fucking love it, but you're not gonna get a better guitarist through it.
Yeah, that's good.
You have to constantly learn more and just get paid, and learn your basics, get better, like push yourself, harder song, because that's how you get to like level Jimmy Page and those people. You don't get good just because you go like, okay, this is where I'm stopping now. I'm confident I can play Smoke on the Water, or One by Metallica. Which is the thing. That's one of the big things, is there's nothing wrong with if that's enough for you. That's the thing where, like, because there's this weird pressure nowadays, I noticed, on students especially. They also put it on themselves, where they go like, if I don't go to Pixar, I'm lost. There's no other way to go there. I have to go to this studio, I have to go to that studio, I have to work in this. So like, yeah, that's not everything, like sometimes you just want to have a nice life balance. You just want to, you like to be where you are. There's nothing wrong if you still animator in a small TV studio in Napoli or Rome or wherever, you know, if you have a nice life, you know, you have a family, you have kids and everything, that's not, you didn't lose anything. You didn't lose the war. You know, there's nothing, how is it? You're not less than, you know, the Pixar animators or the Disney animators. You know, not everybody can be Eric Clapton. You know, there's enough studio musicians. They're still making a good living. They don't have to play in front of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same with animation, you know. Of course, everybody knows the 9 Old Men, but they didn't do the whole movie alone. You know, they had 60 animators at one point. Where are the other, you know, the 51 animators? They all had a good life. They just weren't the rock stars because they didn't push the same shit. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I'm way better than them. They just didn't like their limelight. They don't like to be the face of the studio, the face of the project. No, that's just, some people are like that. You know, I know some animators who don't want to be supervisors. They just go like, oh, I like animation. I like to animate. I've been animating for 30 years and I enjoy that. I don't need to get the golden trophies and, you know, get all the stress. You know, don't be away from my family.
Yeah.
It's that's one thing. There's a very odd culture sometimes where I have to be there. I have to do this. And like, there's nothing wrong with trying. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't get there, you didn't lose anything. You didn't fail. It's just not in the cards. And the thing, I know a lot of people who like get to the dream job and then don't like it. You know, because they don't really know how it is to work there.
Yeah.
You know, they only this idea.
Indeed, it's different from the idea that you have probably in the end. So
oh, absolutely.
You never know what you find.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you go, you know, I want to go there, and then you end up, I guess I don't really drop names on studios. It's like, I want to go to this studio because this is the greatest, and you know, they make fantastic movies, and you go there and you just end up doing mocap cleanup because they have their crew of super animators and they don't need you there. You know, and and there's nothing wrong with it saying, you know what, no, screw this. But there's also nothing wrong saying, like, you know what, I'm going to stick there and stick it out and go up there. It's all depending on the person. Yeah, that's the thing that I've seen, like, especially juniors nowadays, there's so much pressure of making it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, this foundation, like, the moment you get paid for your animation, you're a professional animator. You made it. You know, done is just you keeping it going. But you made it. You achieved your dream. You want to be an animator? Animate something, you get paid for it. There you go. That's your professional animator. You know? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, where is your personal drive putting you up there, and you know, how much are you willing to give up for it? I think that's generally it.
I love this way of thinking.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, but I think
keep rambling, you know. It's like,
I think that most of the juniors, as you said before, we are just it's something that I think I've experienced in myself, that if I wasn't able to go work with Blizzard or Riot or Sledgehammer, I'm not able to work because like I'm not the one who made it. And I think that juniors really feel this kind of pressure, and it's something that we need to also to tell other juniors, because most of them are just dropping by because they are not sure they are not sure they can go work for MPC or ILM, and then instead of trying it, they are just saying, okay, I'm not able to go there, okay, fuck it, and I'm going to do some grocery seller or whatever.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's also the truth is, like, it's not for everybody, that lifestyle. It's just not. There's like, I want to say like 90% of all the juniors drop out of the industry within 5 years, because it's you know, like I said, in school you get, depending on where you go, you get a different image from it. You know, school is going to teach you the basics. They will help you get your skills there, and you meet a lot of people and you make good connections. That's what school is for. It's the connections, and it's, you know, your skills, and maybe some like how to get feedback and all those things you learn. But once you're out there, you know, it's like, there's nothing wrong with going like, yeah, I want to do the Blizzard, but then you're okay, but I'm from a third world country of Asia, and it's really fucking hard to get a visa. That, you know, it has nothing to do with talent, especially for us like Europeans. You know, it's
Yeah.
you know, try to get America. I mean, it's like, okay, now you realistically, you know, I want to go to Disney. Okay, that's good. You have to be better than all the students there. If you want to be even considered to go and take an internship, you know, which is your best chance for it. Okay, then you have to start. Okay, what's the animation quality of Disney? You know, take the Disney movies. You know, take animation, just animate until it looks kind of like what they do, because they don't. Maybe Disney, yeah, but most studios don't have time to teach how to animate. You know,
Yeah.
it's not at school. You're gonna get thrown at the deep end, and you better learn to swim quickly.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is like, and a lot of times it's not even your talent. It's just, you know, they don't want to invest. They have so many students and schools in there. You know, why would they import any students from a different country?
Much more expensive for them. I mean, they have to invest in you. They can invest in someone which is much, let's say, cheaper than you are to bring you there.
Absolutely, yeah, that's one thing, because they harbor the culture of like, and it's not without merit. It's like Disney is the pinnacle of animation, so everyone wants to go there. So all the animation students want to go there. You know, you have like CalArts, which is incredibly expensive. You have those big schools in America. You got those big schools in Canada. So you have that pool of students. Now then there's you, which, you know, you can still go. It's just that you can, as a foreigner, can go to the school. It's just extremely expensive. And you can even do it on your own talent, which is also possible. There's nothing stopping you. It's just like, it's a Hail Mary. You know, you should always have that, you know, the goal. If that's your goal, always have it there and work towards it, because you can do it. It's just harder than what a lot of people think it is. You know, just going to animation mentor doesn't give you a job at animation.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It does if you're in a certain country where they have animation. It's not your visa. You know.
Yeah.
It's so much harder.
What was your, like? I mean, I'm curious about what was your goal when you were eating for a week straight only apples, just to keep going and become a better artist.
That was it. Like, the thing is, like, in the beginning when I was younger, I really wanted to go to Disney and just animate. Like, I think the one thing that really, like, I was always into cartoony stuff, like, you know, cartoons, and you call it Mortadelo or Filemon and stuff like this, and DuckTales. And then once I saw, but I was never good at drawing. Like, I don't have the patience for it. Like, I like scribbling, but I don't like to draw, which is one of the things like you should have to a certain degree. You should enjoy drawing. For me, it just took too long because I didn't, you know, if you want to be a 2D animator, you're going to spend at least another 3-4 years just drawing for like 9 hours a day to get to the levels you have to like master it to know what you're doing, and then draw more and draw more. And it's like this constant thing, but it's not a bad thing. It's just like, for me, it was never that. And then I saw Jurassic Park, and I kind of like said, fuck, I can do animation still and don't have to draw. This is fantastic, you know. Because before that, you know, before 95, it was basically all we got was 2D and stop motion. You know, those were the two choices we got. And, you know, neither of them were in Austria. There were some studios in Munich that did 2D, but that was it. And then 93, Jurassic Park came out, and I realized, like, oh, this shit, man, this stuff looks real. This is visual effects, this animation, it's cool. And and then I kind of decided, like, oh, I want to be in animation. I was kind of reinforced it, and I just basically, all I wanted to do is just animate and make a living out of it. And that kind of what kept me going. It's just like, this is what I want to do. I found a place, and I found the people I really click with, you know, like, you know, when you have like a hobby and you meet people that enjoy the hobby just as much as you, and it just clicks, and you go like, oh, this is a great place. That's basically what happened to me when I when I went to Denmark the first time. It was just like, oh, there's other people that really are obsessed with the stuff that I am, you know. And it's and because Viborg, the place, the animation workshop in Denmark, in Viborg, where I was, literally was the animation school, and it was in the middle of a small town in Denmark. which means like it was kind of like Edward Scissorhand, with just a weird building on a hill, and everybody else was just suburbs. So
Okay.
the students basically just stuck together 24/7. So you're just constantly with this kind of like almost this animation family. Yeah, it never felt like a chore or anything. Like looking back, it was crazy what we used to do just to get some food and everything because it's so expensive. But you're just in this world full of just having a good time, hanging out with friends, animating, being creative, bouncing ideas off. There was nothing else. There was no, don't think about taxes or anything. It was grown up shit. It was just like, fuck it, let's do it. And back then, also the age was different. I think people were, 20, 26, 27 was the average age of an animation student there. So it was also like people were more like in a grown up kind of, let's just do what we want kind of thing.
Mm.
So yeah, my dream was just that. I just want to animate, and it kind of transformed. And still, the thing was keeping going is like it was never I want to work at this and I want to work at that. Like it was in the beginning. We all sort of like I want to be an anime, like I want to work at Disney and all stuff, and it's nice. It's just I can't imagine it's like a great place because I visited when I was working in LA for a while, and it's like looks like a fun place to do. I just think it was not for me. Like nowadays, I think I have a different goal. For me, it's just more like I want to be so good in my craft that I don't struggle with it, which is, realistically, it's an unattainable goal, but that's what kind of keeps it going.
Yeah.
So it's not about like, I want to work for this in this company or this in this movie. It's more like, I want to sit down and can be able to animate whatever I want to without struggling about it. Whatever art you do, that's like, I want to be so good at my craft. That's kind of like what I'm hoping now. I'm struggling with every day.
This is the expression of passion, I think.
Yeah.
This is really the expression of passion.
Well, it's like some people have we use animation, at least we use it to communicate. Like some of us, because you can be anything. You can always dig out something you don't want to say in person, you don't want to do in person. You just do it for animation, you do it for a different medium, and that's also kind of like a gratifying feeling. In a way, you just can't play it in person. I think that's kind of what they say, like animators are actors, which to a degree we are. We just have to be acting in so many different ways. That yeah, it's for me like again, it's like it's the craft that gives me going. It's not the project anymore. I think it used to be. I used to be really picky about projects, but nowadays I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah, well, I think that this is something really, really beautiful because I always thought that being in a certain studios or in a certain game house will let me to grow a little bit faster, grow a little bit more. But in the end,
Probably.
I think that what you were saying is you need to grow like by yourself, for yourself, not because of your work. It's something more intimate, and it's something even more beautiful. I think that's really huge.
Yeah, it's more about the personality. And
you
bring it everywhere you go. I mean, it's not just for the work in the end. You're
sharing
now.
Your happiness is not dependent on the show you work on. It's like it's you can't be like it. A lot of things come with pressure as well. Like you can, if you want to go to a place like Disney and Pixar, which is fantastic, it's a great idea. But then again, you're surrounded by the top animators in the world, and then you go to dailies, and then you're up against those people, because that's the reality. You depending on this, it's very competitive. Animation gotten this weird competitive edge nowadays. It started like ever since we have these quote unquote rock stars in animation, like Glenn Keane and those guys. Everybody wants to be next Glenn Keane. Everyone wants to be the next Dirk Jones. Everyone's next to Ken Harris. And it kind of became this kind of like, oh, I want to be this. I want to be this personalities. And then you have to like, everybody tries to be very competitive with each other. And then it's, I don't know. It became less collaborative. I noticed. At least, I mean, it's gotten. I didn't have it so much in VFX. I hear it a lot in like full DG because I think it's just also because the people get younger, so they have much more of a drive / they really want to be the next whatever. So it's very politically driven. Like I want to be the best and I want to look good in dailies for my lead, because when I'm talking my lead, maybe they're gonna get the next cool shot. And it's true, that's how you grow. I mean, that's how you learn stuff. It's everything is accelerated. Like, remember when I started, like a junior, you start as a junior, you couldn't just go to an online class and just be an animator in a year. You basically had to learn it. You go to school. If you want to be a bachelor, it took you 4 years to be an animator. Then you worked, and you're a junior. You might be a junior for a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending. You probably have a mentor or something with your buddy. So you get taught there. It was a natural progression. It took me like 4 or 5 years to be like a mid-level animator, and now, you go to animation mentor or whatever the school is, and they spit you out with really solid knowledge. And like, there you go, enjoy. You're an animator now. And then they get thrown into the deep end, and it's very sink or swim, which is, it's not a bad thing. It's like some people thrive, but some people sink with it. And I think that's why we also have the high dropout rate as well. It's just culminating that, it's just everything is accelerated, which is, I sound like a really old grumpy man, but it's not. It's just I've seen it changing. It's kind of disheartening that a lot of people don't enjoy it as much, because I liked when people liked to animate. I enjoyed it because I want to be inspired. But it's like if you get forced to do like crazy overtime because you got a shot that you're actually not ready for it, but there's no one else to do it, and you just now you see this junior going home at like 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock because he has this massive shot he wanted to, but now he doesn't know how to do it. And it's like, it's kind of a shame. That's the thing. What I was thinking, like a lot of, if you look around in studios, like there are not many old timers anymore. There's most of them, especially in ZG, they transition pretty quickly out of the actual work. When I started, we had it was like a iteration of thirds. Like we don't have many juniors, we have a lot of mids, and we have a good chunk of seniors that were taking care of the juniors. And nowadays it looks basically you have a fraction of the seniors. Like you have a lot leads, and then they also have to be seniors. Basically, they can't only be leads, so they do double duty. Yeah, and then you got almost no mids and just fill up with juniors.
Okay.
And that's the beast of the industry. It's not even like I don't want to point any studios for it. It's just that's how the industry has evolved in a not too good way. And I think that's why you guys say like it's hard for juniors, because the reality is like it's not that hard depending on the time. It's a lot of it is with luck. Like a lot of my career was based on like just being at the right time, not just throwing myself around. Like I remember, like after I was in Amsterdam, I basically I was about to wrap out a show in Amsterdam, and then a friend of mine wrote me an email who I met in Denmark, Todd Paulson, and he said like, "Hey, I want to make this short film, but I'm making it in Thailand because that's where I can keep the price low, and one studio is opening up, and we have this deal where like we make the short film and I train the people there. You want to come for like 3 months?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounds fun." And I went down there with like I don't know, after like 2 weeks of going like, should I? Yeah, fuck it, let's go. So I went down there for 3 months, and it kind of turned into 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great. It was a decision. If you think about it, like it was very against my career, because if I would have stayed, I would have just progressed faster. But it just at that point, I just felt like what, I haven't tried yet. It's something completely new. It's adventure.
Yeah.
And let's see how it goes. And I was much more into like short films and being creative in that way. That was more allure to me, because that's kind of what I did when I was in Denmark at the school. So it's like I didn't mind the visual effects industry at that point, because my other two shows, like both Trickster and AVP, were both like realistic animal VFX in live action. So I got a taste for that. but I also wanted to like try something completely new. So I went down to Denmark in a place called the Monk Studio, and yeah, when we were there, we were 25 people. It just started out. They didn't even have pipeline yet. It was great. It was great because like it was very chill. It was very creative. We came up with we had to build pipeline. We had to educate people in modeling. Then I had to learn a bit of modeling to explain to them how to model.
Yeah.
I had to sit down and figure like, okay, they don't have a pipeline for short films. How are we going to do pipelines? And I had to, me and the guys just sitting down like, okay, how can we do this? It was I was much more involved in different things than just animating. And we had a friend of mine, Mark Oftedal, was also a friend of Todd's, and he came by and we had like a class once a week with him where he taught animation. We had live drawing. It was very like school/studio at the same time.
Okay,
it was a very creative thing, and the life was really cheap there, so I could my saved money from those 2 jobs went pretty far. And I had a good deal with them. Like I said, like, hey, you know what? I don't need much money. Just pay my rent and give me some food, and we're good. I was at the time was like 20s, 25, so I was like, screw it, let's try it. There's nothing lost. But that's the thing, right? It's like as long as like there's nothing wrong with just going, try it out, and just leaving again because you hate it. There's not a failure. It's just like I tried it, I don't like it. There's nothing wrong with it, and I always kept that in mind. Like that's why I was never worried to like throw myself around the globe, because like it's just a plane ticket home. It's just nothing is going to happen. What's the worst that could happen? The Thai movie industry is going to hate me for the rest of my life. Oh my god, it's like nothing's gonna. There's nothing. It's only win for them. Even if it's a shitty experience, it's an experience.
Yeah.
So I worked with those guys, and we did a short film while working on other shows as well, which was really fun. And somehow, I was at the time, like after like 3.5 years or something, I got kind of like, okay, I have to go back. Like I had the urge to like, I want to push myself creatively a bit more. I want to be, work with people that are really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I had made a little detour before I left back to Europe. I went to China for 7 months because a friend of Todd's had a studio there. See, like that's my career is not something you can replicate, because
it's
you jump from one side to the other of the globe, like going back and
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's really hard to do, but it's more like it's a combination of me not giving a shit about the consequence, and also just like what's going to happen. It's like it's like not really thinking ahead of stuff, and not being very career minded. Is much more like what, I want to try that. It's like, because realistically, if I would be career minded, I would have never left Europe. I would have just stuck around Europe and worked there. But I thought, what, this sounds fun, and I just did it. And yeah, I went to Beijing for like 7 months, worked on a place called Xingxing with an old teacher of Todd's, where I was like layout supervisor, and I helped them with some different pitches. It was also really cool because I was like the only white guy in the whole fucking. They basically just threw me in the deep end, which was, I can't tell. I could tell you stories. It's crazy, but anyways,
please tell us one, at least one, please.
Okay, okay. That's the one I tell a lot, because it's just I'm still kind of like baffled about it. When I arrived from Bangkok to Beijing, I arrived on a Sunday night with a plane. It was like a 5-hour plane ride, and it dropped from like 30 plus degrees to minus 10. I didn't fucking know that. I showed up in short pants. So I arrived there at like 6 o'clock in the morning after like the overnight flight, because it was just that's a plane ticket they bought me. I was picked up by the guys in the studio, just 2 nice guys, and they basically dropped me off at my place, wrote me in a little notebook, give this to the cab driver in the morning, and told me, okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 9 at 9 at the studio. It's like, okay. So I didn't have like a day work. I basically just arrived at 6 o'clock and had to be at work at 9. So
3 hours to get it.
Oh, dude, it was such a but it's like, you can only laugh about it. There's like nothing to get pissed about. It's just where you're at now. So I showed up, and the thing is, because I have this habit. I don't look at maps where I'm at. I just don't. I just go somewhere. So I had no clue. Like in Amsterdam, I didn't to be fair, I didn't know where Amsterdam was when I left for it in the plane. Like I know it was in Holland somewhere, I just couldn't find it on the map. If you pointed to me, it's like, I don't know, somewhere Holland. So I showed up there at 9 o'clock, really, really tired, and get the intro and like this is the student and everything. And somehow I ended up I had to do overtime to like 10 at night at that first day because there was some panic stuff. And it was fun because like, yeah, I was young, didn't care. But then I asked them like, okay, how do you get home? And they go like, yeah, just take this one front gate and turn left and walk, and you're gonna be fine. Which is like, yeah, I kind of remember, it's good. So I did that, which they didn't tell me, of course, was there were two front gates, one to the south and one to the west. So I took the wrong one and went for 1 hour in the wrong direction. There's nothing. It was just Chinese signs and suspicious Chinese people that looked at me like, what the fuck is he doing here? So I basically got to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning at that day. That was my first welcome to Beijing. It's like, fuck.
Welcome.
Yeah, it was so like, I was lying in bed and it's like, this is fantastic. This is amazing. It's like nowhere else could that happen, because like the real is like, if you show up in Beijing, you don't speak Chinese, you're lost. There's nothing you can do because all the signs are fucked. Like there's nothing you can do. I had the same way in Bangkok at one point. Like, yeah, I went to the cab and I usually have my address written down. And I tried to explain to him. And then he goes like, what number? And I said like, I wrote down 17, was it 17? And he looked at me. And then I realized, they don't fucking use numbers like we do. There's nothing I can, at least that guy was, it's like, there's nothing I could do. There's like, you sit in the cab and realize there's no way to communicate. There's nothing. I just had to get out and get another cab. It was like, it was one of those wonderful experiences. I go like, yeah, you're the weirdo here because you don't speak. It's not their fault that you don't speak that shit. It's like everything you know is just gone now. All you held is like, you're just screwed. And well, to be fair, like I also put myself in it because I don't use smartphones. So I just basically just kind of just walk and hope for the best most of the time.
You explore. You explore a lot.
Yeah. Which is, it's interesting. If you explore in a country that don't speak the language yet and they don't speak your language, you just basically point and hope for the best. Mm-hmm. So it's very good for pantomime acting, let's be honest.
Can I say that for Italian that would be easier because with the hand
we
communicate a lot, so that if we go anywhere, we can just say, well,
exactly. What? Yes, I love it. No, it's cool. No, yeah. So then after the detour, I came back to Bangkok for like 3 months to help out a little bit, and then I went back to Europe because I just felt like, you know what, I had my adventure in Asia. I had my fill of Asia. Like I had a great time there, but also I had the urge again to like really just get stuck in and try to be the worst in the studio, because I like to be the worst in the studio, so you can actually just fight my way up. Okay. It's one of the habits where I still have it sometimes, where like I really want to be. It's much better for my growth to be the worst in the place and then just fight my way up again.
Yeah,
and
that's hard to accept actually. I know.
It's fun. It's really hard. That's why it's a good thing. You go there and like every time you change job, you have to prove yourself new. That's the reality of it. Like you switch your studio, they don't know what you can do. They see you're real, but that doesn't mean like it looks like you can do it. But you have to prove it in speed. You have to prove it in your attitude. You have to prove it in how you take criticism. There's a lot of other things they don't know from you, real. So you have to work your way up, and even if you have all that stuff, you still need to earn the trust of your supervisors and leads and everything, to get the good shots.
Yeah.
And that's partially what I kind of like. It's kind of like, it's like one of the things that keep me going, because it's more like, it's like a battle. You just go there and go like, you're the new kid in school, and the first thing you got to do is you punch the biggest guy and show everybody you in a weird way. It's like, that's kind of like what the energy I had from it. That's why I like to switch jobs a lot, because it's like, okay, clean slate. They don't know your fuck ups. They can't remember anything. It's just clean slate. Get better. This is your new chance to do better. So yeah, and coming back from Asia was pretty hard. Like I had like 1 year where I struggled to find a job, just because I realized that whatever I did in Asia didn't mean anything in Europe. It might as well have taken 4 years off and not worked. Just because at that time it was like the quality standard was so different that like it doesn't mean anything. You could be supervisor, a director in China. It doesn't mean anything if it's in Asia, in Europe. Yeah, it gives me it's the quality standards different. You know, the education level is different. You know, they don't push. At least they didn't used to push the quality of shows that high because they didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, like they take the best project from Italy, for example, and put it next to a project of, let's say, England or like all those like big places, right? ILM or whatever. You know, the clients are local. The clients have a certain idea they want to do, and they're not going to push because the budget's not there, and you cannot compete with the budget. You can only. That's why so many people leave, right? I mean, that's why it's so struggle. Why all the creative industries we have in Europe are like not at that standard SDR, for example, in London or America, is because the budget is not there, and you can't keep the really good people there because you can't compete financially with it. You know, you can't do $100 million movie in Italy or Spain or Germany. You know, it's just not there. You don't have that kind of money.
Different approach, different money. Yeah.
So you end up with an industry where, like, you know, you don't get challenged with so much high level quality, which means that people, you know, get like the leads get better, like the supervisor and all. It's just the quality level is just not there. It's getting there. It's getting a lot better because of that. You know, there's a lot of international turnaround. You know, a lot of people go to London or something, especially Europeans go to London, work in the big shows, and then go like, you know, but I don't like London living there. I want to go home and start a family, and then they go back to their home country and start stuff there, which is great. You know, it's just that's where they succeed, and they have a nicer living, and they just enjoy that stuff. You know, there's nothing. Again, that's kind of a cycle that most people do. You know, you don't have to retire at Pixar if you hate California. You don't have to, you know, go to Weta if they realize there's nothing except weather there. There's no, you know, that's what I'm saying. If you're junior, just throw yourself around the world and learn as much as you can. And, you know, see where you end up. There's nothing. That's the cool thing. There's no one way to do it. It's everybody's personal way. You know? As long as you keep doing it and liking it, that's the best part. Because if you know, the thing is also, if you end up hating it at one point if you're just frustrated. You know, that's the thing, right? If you work in a place that just constantly frustrates you, or you're just constantly questioning your talent or whatever, it's just gonna erode your way, I guess. That's the saddest part. Except it took me like a year to get footing and get my contacts back after I was in Asia, to like reconnect with the people I've worked before, just see what they were doing. And then when I got lucky because one of my friends I made at Trickster was now working in Frankfurt on Pixamondo. And he said like, oh, you know, we're working on this Scorsese movie. You want to come over? And I was like, sure. You know, again, it's like, okay, why not? I've been in Frankfurt. Let's try that one. So I showed up there, I had the interview, and they were like happy to have me. So I moved to Frankfurt. Again, for like supposed to be 3 months, turned out to be 4 years. You know,
perfect planning.
yeah. That's the thing. You don't plan; you just get like really comfortable. You get comfortable until it gets boring, and then you leave. It's horrible at career advice. Just don't take anyone I'm saying to it. It's not supposed to. Like, just do it the opposite of what I did.
But I think that is inspiring, because we're interviewing people from all around the world. Every story is different, and that is amazing because everyone takes inspiration from where he wants to. So every story is, you know, mind-changing, can be mind-changing. So.
Yeah. So that's why I ended up in Frankfurt and I worked on I think it's Hugo Cabret. It was a Hugo movie, the Scorsese movie with that little robot thing. That was fun. But then we got a show which was really, the weird thing is I wasn't really excited until I heard, like, all I knew was like it was dragons. So I was going like, oh, that's cool. And then like this, all like, oh, it's this Game of Thrones show. It's like we got second season for it. And I was like, and all I was hearing was like, we're gonna do dragons. I didn't care about the show. Like, sure, dragons sounds fun.
I want to do it.
Yeah, but that's it, right? It's like, oh, again, I don't care about the show. Dragons, dude. I got animate dragons. It's the best thing ever. You know, could be any show. I
How
could do
was it?
animate.
How was it to animate a dragon? Like,
That was fun. It was very interesting because like again, Pixelmon was a smaller studio. At that time, we had like the animation department was very small, so we had much more lenient to being like creative. We did some research. We did some, like I did some tests of fly cycles and everything, and how we're gonna move. And there was a lot more. It was a lot more like it used like more school in a way.
Mhm.
It was still like creative where it's like everybody can bring up ideas. Let's try it out. We have some time to play with it. It was pretty good. It wasn't crazy TV thing. I think we had to do like we were like on 8 seconds a week at that time, which was a nice pace. It's almost like movie. And because it was definitely like they had like 3 episodes, like episode 1, episode I think 4 or 5, and episode 9 were the big dragon episodes all the time. So there was only like 3 big ones. We had some nice times with there. Yeah, and then it was fun. It was really enjoyable because you could bring your own ideas. There was no the storyboard were very loose. They were very just like, oh, let's try stuff, And yeah, and I stuck around there, and we did like season 2, 3, and at season 4,
Okay.
I got kind of bored of dragons.
Yeah, you knew everything about dragons. Where did you take your reference for dragons, actually?
A reference? That's the thing. It's like that's the bad thing. It's like I don't do much reference, which is blasphemy. I have a weird relationship to reference. Like I should use my reference. I just don't like it. Kind of locks me into things I don't like. I did when I did the fly cycle for season 3, I think. We had different ways. We had like birds and we had bats, and then we just I did both cycles and we showed it directly because like for some reason bats don't really fly like birds at all. They do the opposite. Like bats basically just catch their wings like that, and birds more like they do this kind of weird. It's like they rotate backwards almost. But yeah, we did a couple of those, and we basically just mixed it up because what kind of reference you want is a dragon. You can do what you want. People's gonna if it's that's the thing is like if it's animated well enough, people are gonna eat everything. It's just like that's the great thing about the great trick about animation is I can make you believe it's alive with everything I want if it's well done enough. You get emotional about juice box if I want to. That's the great trick about it. It's like I don't have to have like a photorealistic reference of a dragon. It's a fucking dragon. It's just
even hard to find. Let's say.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like you can pull from animals. You can get like pelicans are really good for heavy animals because they really struggle flying. Or vultures are like really big. You can get a lot of stuff out. But don't rotoscope it. Don't just copy frame by frame. Just look at it, get the feel of it, get maybe the timing, and then just look into this day. Like I don't. There's a lot of interesting footage out there, but like I don't. And I know a lot of animators are really successful and really good at it. They find the perfect reference. They're so good and just they're spending 2 days just finding reference and basically just plan the whole shot out. And then they get it approved with the reference and just do it, and it looks amazing. I'm the other way around. I just basically just wing it most of the time. Like for me, it's more important to get the feeling of it right than the action.
Yeah.
So my stuff tends to end up a bit more cartoony. That's then I get pulled back and like, oh, make it more realistic, kind of this way and that way. I do tend to. I look at my reference before I start animating, but not like for action. It's just like understanding the weight, understanding the locomotions and everything. And then I close it out when I block it out. Like I just look at it, and then I block my shot out, how I feel it should move, and then I look at the reference again just to double check if it looks okay.
Okay.
So it's more like yeah, I learned it from one of really good animators that Krzysztof Stepanski, he has like a supercut of the animals he's animating running in the background in his screen for like he has like a 15-minute loop them doing things, and he always uses it as like a reference, like, oh, am I still kind of in that weight ballpark? It's the kind of like he references back, but he doesn't really copy things from it, and it works on me. Like again, like everybody.
Yeah.
That's the same with art, right? Everybody can do the same thing 50,000 different ways that works for them. Yeah, that's why it's so funny. Like, that's why I don't tend to not give like workflow explanations. Like, this is my workflow, this is my workflow. Because like,
Yeah.
what works for me can be horrible for you. No, I can't do stepped keys. I just can't. Like, it doesn't work for me. And a lot of animators love stepped keys. They love blocking and stepped keys, and this is like, it just doesn't work for me. But that's a good thing, is you have to try it all out. And like I said, as a student, when you're a student or when you're early in career, that's when you try it all out. That's when you still have the safety net. Especially when you're junior, just try everything. Don't be afraid to go up to your senior or something and ask him when you've got time to look something, get some feedback. Because generally, we like to give feedback because we like to animate. We like to see good animation. So just ask them. But also, when you ask, don't argue.
Yeah.
Take it. And the thing is, unless it's from your supervisor and it's a professional thing, it's your job. A critique is just an opinion. Depending what company, you can take it or not. If it's mechanical, you might want to listen to it. If you know the guy knows more than you just might want to listen to it. Try it out at least, and find what works for you. Yeah.
It's still, this is a question for, because we used Maya, and it was like they told us it's the leader in the industry. Is it yet the leader in the industry for animation? Do you use it, or you use other programs?
I
use Maya. Okay.
But it's more like it's a leader of the industry because it kind of bought all the other competition.
Okay, yes, that's an easy way to be the best.
Just
delete the rest.
Like, the thing is, like, it's the thing with Maya is basically it has a longer legacy. There used to be like Softimage and XSI. I loved XSI. It was fantastic. It was so much better. It got bought and killed. And 3D Studio Max was kind of like the stepchild.
Okay.
But for it works, I played a little bit with it. I just didn't get into it. So I think Maya is still around. But I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, especially in 3D animation, it's technically stop motion with a bit of computer help. So as long as you can set a key and you know where you have curves, program doesn't matter. It's just for industry standardized. It's good to know Maya because everybody uses it. ILM uses it. Pixar uses it. Pixar has their own animation thing, of course, but at least for modeling, they use Maya sometimes. So it's all over the place. Yeah. For VFX, for like explosion stuff, I think Houdini is starting to get really big now.
Yeah, Houdini is going quite
Houdini
fast.
Is going crazy. There's a lot of like studios that are pivoting towards it. Blender, oddly enough, is getting stronger.
Yeah.
For whatever it is. I'm trying to get into it. It's just like, learning a new software. It's like, I wanted all the softwares to look like Maya, and I have to hard time to learn this. But when you have stuff like Blender, it's crazy. You can have a free software that can do amazing stuff.
Yeah.
What
do you think about companies and Blender? Like, I know that Blender is, it's free, and many companies also for licenses and things prefer to use other kind of softwares. Is that something that you've seen, or is something that is just?
I think it's the problem with Blender right now is that you don't have the talent pool.
Okay.
You can't switch. Like, all the pipelines are set up with Maya. There's like the stuff behind it. Every company has their own proprietary software, based on geocaches and everything. So it's really hard to switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's more possible in smaller studios. Like places like the mid range and the low tier range. They probably going to switch to Blender pretty quickly.
Okay.
I think more or less. It depends, because it's just you're competing with some really big heavy hitters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. But I think Blender is going to be really good for commercials and stuff like that because it's free. And in the long run, I think it's going to take only one or two studios to like really say, okay, screw Maya, we're switching. Then everything's going to come down. Blender is attractive for a lot of things because Yeah, no one uses the Maya rendering or everybody uses P-renderman. You know, everything, the effects is done in Houdini. It's so split up. What is what?
Yeah.
Like, you know, modeling is ZBrush or whatever, Modo. So in end effect, Maya is basically just animating. But yeah, it's the talent pool right now. Like you won't find any seniors doing Blender.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably in
it's
the
just
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
which but it's also a possibility. It's a good opportunity for people
Mm-hmm.
to really get into. What's getting really big now is Unreal.
Unreal. Yeah, Unreal.
VFX is really like, especially for previous, it's massive. Like everybody's doing it now. You've seen the making of Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's running Unreal.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. You know, like you sit on stage and fix it on stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is
No, but the thing is, that is at least something. If you're really into it, that's what you can push for, because there's not that many people who can do it, and especially because there's so much new ground you can break.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like from the technical point of view, because from what I've seen, Unreal is not a good animation tool. Like I played with it, but it's just like it's painful. From like it's just because I'm a Maya guy, and it's just like I have my hotkeys, I have my tools, I have my scripts and all that stuff, and it doesn't feel like Unreal is that flexible from the little things I'm seeing. So until it does that, I mean, it's still gonna be good for previewing. You know, like use Maya and then pipe the FBXs into Unreal, stuff like that. It's always a good idea. But yeah, that's from what I've seen right now. And like I said, I'm back here in London, so I'm kind of far removed from what's going on in LA and in those other places, because that's mostly where these things are. It's like on set, on stage, right? The VR stages. But it's I think Unreal and those real-time rendering as a thing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially through COVID. That helped a lot.
Okay.
Because you know you don't have to have so many people on set anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of the things.
If you would find yourself like the younger you in the middle of the street, what kind of advice you would give to yourself?
So,
the younger you at the beginning of your career.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. It's difficult because the industry has changed so much. I think, you know, realize it's a job and be, you know, enjoy doing it. Like I said, the biggest thing for me was like learning to enjoy doing it more than the end result. You know, like, and try to get like, yeah, just enjoy what you do, and the end result doesn't reflect on you. Like, you know, it's what I said in the beginning. It's basically that's what I learned. Just, you know, don't take it personal if you get feedback. You know, if the movie sucks, it's not your fault. You know, do the best you can, and if you fuck up, learn from it and do it again better next time. Well, there's no much, you know, there's no great wisdom to tell. I think for juniors, it's getting harder and harder, just because there's so many.
Yeah.
And you know, don't sneer at small jobs. There's nothing wrong if you. It's working at some place is more important than, you know, just being unemployed and hoping to get the career break in this big studio.
Yeah.
You know, just get the experience. The experience is the most important in the beginning. Just fail. And yeah, it's like, it really is like, you know, you want to be a professional musician. That's basically, it's almost the same career way. You know, learn your skill, learn your things, learn to practice. You know, play your first gig, fail at your first gig. If you have what you did, don't let anybody say anything different. But also don't put your personal worth on your shots or your show. You know, just enjoy what you're doing. That's the thing. It's the same thing I do. Like, it seems like it's a job. It's, you know, enjoy it like a carpenter, enjoy making a fucking table, enjoy it like the laborer making a wall. You know, they have different levels of enjoyment. I've seen animators who basically come and do like a 9 to 5. It's a job. To go home with a family, they're happy. I've seen people that go like, this is all I want to do for the rest of my life. And, you know, Like I've been on the extremes, I guess. Like, but just I throw myself around the world, basically on the whole motif. Go like, this is interesting. Let's try it. And it's definitely I can wish you all the best and just stick with it if it's really what you want to do. But there's nothing wrong with just saying no, it's not. Try it out if you like it, and keep the passion you have for it, because that's the thing. It's about you. It's not. Don't be dependent on other people on that recognition. Don't think, oh, I have to be X and Y and Z animator, and I want all the other animators like this is the best shit ever, or I want to get an Annie, or I want to get a VS. It's like it's all great to aim for it, but no, it's not getting it. You're not losing anything. You're still the same person. You still got to go to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only thing I can say.
Ingo, thank you very much for
I
everything.
ramble too much.
And no, we love it. We have another call in a few minutes, so for sure we have to close. But
all right. Well, I hope it was fun for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it was amazing. We had to know you and also your stories from from China and other places. So
I only got like halfway through that craziness that
that was really inspiring and mind changing, also for the approach that you use to the work, to your passion, to a lot of things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, guys. I hope good luck with that, and just keep in contact, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We will. And thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, Ingo.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.
Bye.